truth.
To Prince Hamlet!
Your thoughts? Or madness? Or remembrance? I hope you remember. The king, he is dead.
Long live King Claudius!
He has stolen my crown from me.
You forget how to greet a king! Vengeance is mine.
Ophelia. These are strange times in this castle. Be afraid. You will only be safe if you are afraid.
Hamlet, we can escape now. Come. You turned my son against me.
I think Ophelia is dangerous.
They want me to marry another.
It starts now!
Take her!
Vengeance, madness, a kingdom lost.
Nothing as it seems.
Chapter 2. Forbidden Love. It didn't take Laertes long to prepare for his journey back to France. He was looking forward to leaving because life at the castle had little to offer a young man like him. Laertes always felt bored there. What he wanted was adventure and freedom. Polonius was a good father, but he was strict and expected his children to be as submissive as his ministers. In spite of this, Laertes loved and respected him, and didn't want to do anything that might damage his father's reputation at court. Before he left, he went to say goodbye to his sister Ophelia. She was several years younger than him, and a sweet, sensitive girl. Ever since their mother's death, he had looked after her and protected her from harm. On his recent return from France, Ophelia told him that Hamlet had sent her some love letters. This had worried him.
Laertes!
Ophelia cried when she saw him.
Why do you have to go away so soon? I'll miss you so much.
I'll miss you too, Ophelia, but promise me you'll write often.
You know I will,
replied his sister.
And as regards Hamlet, don't let his words of love deceive you. His feelings for you might be real today, but they probably won't last.
Why do you think that?
He's young and doesn't know any other women apart from you. And besides, nothing can come of a relationship with him. He's a royal prince, and one day he'll be king. He isn't free to choose a wife. That decision will be made for him by the court. So just be careful and don't do anything silly.
All right, Laertes.
Ophelia sighed. Just at that moment, Polonius arrived.
Laertes, are you still here?
He said.
Hurry up! Your ship is leaving.
I'm going, father,
said Laertes, putting on his hat and cloak.
Goodbye, my son,
said Polonius, kissing him.
And just try to remember a few rules of life. Don't do anything without thinking about it seriously first. Be friendly to people, but not too friendly. Don't waste your time shaking hands with every new person you meet. Don't start a fight, but if you're in one, fight bravely. Listen to many people, but talk to just a few. Spend as much as you can afford on clothes, but make sure they're of good quality. Don't borrow money, and don't lend it. And above all, be true to yourself.
Thank you, Father.
said Laertes, impatient to leave.
I'll try to remember your good advice. Goodbye, Ophelia, and don't forget what I told you.
When he had gone, Polonius asked Ophelia what Laertes had told her.
Oh, just something about Hamlet.
She replied, picking up her embroidery.
Good,
Said Polonius. He had noticed Hamlet's interest in his daughter and didn't approve of it.
There's a lot of gossip going around the court about you and Hamlet. People are saying that you aren't behaving as a good girl should. It's embarrassing for me. I'm an important man, and I have a reputation to keep.
Ophelia tried to concentrate on her sewing.
Throwing yourself at the first young man who shows interest in you, you should have more self-respect. I forbid you to see Hamlet again. And if he's written you any love letters, send them back. Do you understand?
A drop of blood fell on Ophelia's cloth. She had pricked her finger.
Yes, Father.
Good girl.
Hamlet, we can escape now. Not every story must end with a battle. Come.
She knew no man until the hunter Actaeon came upon her.
A wondrous fish indeed.
Fish would like to come ashore.
A hunter. The fish is very welcome.
No fish comes willing to the fisherman.
Not a fisherman.
How can I put it down into words when it's almost too much for my soul alone?
Do you love another?
I love only.
You stopped my heart.
Loved and I loved and I lost you.
My true love.
Then I loved and I lost you.
I have never forgotten you.
Then I loved and I lost you. And it hurts like hell.
You swore to love me and be mine.
I am yours.
Yeah, it hurts like hell.
Goodbye, my love.
Hamlet had gone to his room after his conversation with the ghost. He was shocked, confused, and afraid too. His father had asked him to avenge his murder, and that meant only one thing. He had to kill his uncle. Although Hamlet preferred books and studying to swords and fighting, he promised himself to do what his father had asked. It was his duty. How he hated Claudius now, and how disgusted he felt by his mother's behaviour.
But what if I only imagined the ghost?
He thought suddenly.
What if Claudius is innocent? Oh, what shall I do?
Hamlet turned down his room.
Before I kill Claudius, I must be sure that he really is a murderer. I don't want to act too hastily, so I must find a way of gaining time. How?
He stopped pacing to think, and very soon an idea came to him.
I know. I'll pretend to be mad. That will confuse everyone. They won't suspect that I have a plan.
During the next few days, everyone in the castle started to comment on the change in Hamlet's behaviour. He never spoke to anyone now. He didn't care how he dressed, and he spent long periods of time staring into space and sighing. Ophelia, in particular, was worried about the changes. For the last year, she had thought that Hamlet was in love with her. He had sent her flowers and love letters and told her she was beautiful. When he was at home, he had invited her to walk with him in the castle gardens. Naturally, she was flattered by all the attention he paid her. Hamlet was a handsome, intelligent young man, and she was young and naive. Although he was a royal prince, and she was only the Lord Chamberlain's daughter, She had sometimes let herself dream that he might ask her to marry him.
Ophelia. I always meant to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Last night, Ophelia. It
You'll
was...
value your breeches, my lord.
Well then, goodbye. Try to understand.
I'm trying.
My father would never allow it. He wishes me someday to take his throne.
And I'm low.
No, Ophelia.
I was deceived in you. I see now that you are but a prince. Goodbye.
So when her father ordered her to send Hamlet's letters back, she had done it with a heavy heart. During the days that followed, she expected him to come to her and ask her for an explanation, but he didn't. He avoided meeting her. Every time he saw her, he turned around and walked the other way. And on the rare occasions they were in the same room together, he was very cold and unfriendly. She couldn't understand his behaviour. It was so strange, so unlike him. Then one morning, Hamlet came to her room while she was sewing. He walked in without knocking and stood in front of her. His appearance shocked her. He looked awful. He had no hat, his shirt was unbuttoned, and his stockings, which were not very clean, were around his ankles. His face was as white as a sheet, and he seemed very nervous. Without saying anything, he took hold of her wrists and stared at her for a very long time. Then he sighed deeply and left the room walking backwards so that he didn't have to take his eyes off her. Ophelia was very frightened and ran to find her father. As soon as she entered the room, Polonius could see that she was very upset about something.
What's the matter, Ophelia? Why are you crying?
Oh, Father, I'm so afraid,
replied the girl.
Prince Hamlet has just been to see me. He's so strange. I think he's gone mad.
Between sobs, she managed to tell her father what had happened. Polonius listened with increasing surprise.
I only did what you told me to do, Father. I sent his letters back,
Ophelia said, drying her eyes.
But he hasn't spoken to me since then. Do you think he's angry with me? Is it my fault that he's gone mad?
She started crying again.
Love is a strong and violent emotion,
Polonius said.
It has the power to change people. Hamlet has gone mad because he thinks you don't return his love. I didn't realize his feelings for you were so serious. You young people are difficult for us older people to understand. Come on, we must tell the king everything. We need to discuss it openly, because if we don't, I risk losing my job, and you risk losing your reputation.
I wanna be a bottle blonde. I don't know why, but I feel calm. I wanna be an idle teen. I wish I hadn't been so clean. I wanna stay inside all day. I want the world to go away. I want blood guts and chocolate cake. I wanna be a real fake. Yeah, I wish I'd been a teen idol. Wish I'd been a prom queen fighting for the title. Instead of being 16 and burning up a Bible, feeling super suicidal the way wanna be a